Jasmy is down and people are saying that this is the end of the run, and actually it's just the beginning really. I mean, if we take a look at the crypto bubbles, we can see that pretty much everything is having a dark day. It doesn't take you more than 5 seconds to do a little bit of research to figure out why. So spot ETFs have dropped by 80% as Bitcoin dips below 69k. And essentially, the inflows into the ETF have dropped significantly. And I think that anyone holding crypto just kind of doesn't want to be left holding the bag. So as soon as any negative news comes in, people just kind of cut and run because they're fearing being left holding the bag again, because they probably have some PTSD from last time when they were left holding that bag, watching their $1 million portfolio drop to a few hundred K in the matter of months, thinking that this is just a dip, this is just a dip. And that just sparks fear. So it's nothing to do with Jasmy. And if you stick around to the end of this video, I'm going to tell you what my prediction for Jasmy is. But anyway, guys, if you liked the video, like and subscribe, and check in the description for my Telegram group. Nothing going on in there at the moment, but just trying to build a little bit of community, and I'll start putting some thoughts in there when I do. So the crypto market is down. We know it's down. This is purely just because of the ETF inflows going down. People just start sounding the alarms that things may be going a bit south, and people just kind of pile in onto that theory because bad news spreads quickly. But Sol seems to be very detached from this whole market. It's now at $180, which even in the early part of this bull market, Solana was just rallying before everything else, and it just seemed kind of disconnected. So I don't think Solana is the good one to watch here. But as we know, if Bitcoin goes down, pretty much everything in the market goes down, and that's basically what's happened. We can see the same for internet computer, it has gone down a fair bit. Render, really, people are still trying to buy into this. The AI narrative is staying strong, so we haven't really seen as much of a drop. But by my eyes, this is pretty much just a buying opportunity. I've been waiting for a dip for a long time. We saw that bad news back in like November, December, when there was that fake news about the ETF being disapproved, and everyone just started shitting their pants and just selling off everything. And realistically, it's just another one of those. We've just had such a frothy market. If you think about it, the ETF has absolutely propelled Bitcoin much higher than we would have expected at this point, and because of that, everyone else is just diving into all of these altcoins. And we can take a look at the ETF inflows. So just a map here, and this has just been progressively happening, and this is actually a sign for Jasmy, something I'm going to discuss a bit later, how that is actually going to affect Jasmy as well, and how this is a good sign of what will come for Jasmy. But anyway, so the Bitcoin price just propelled much higher than we had ever expected, much quicker, just because of the Bitcoin ETF, and we saw record 1 billion net in inflows, which dropped dramatically, and people just kind of started dumping everything. And we've been waiting for that pullback. It rose way too quickly from what we expected, and a pullback is necessary. It doesn't mean that the bear market is here. It doesn't mean that the bull market has ended at all. We still have a long way to go. I believe that it will end by the latest January. Some people will tell you we have another 300 days. And I spoke about in my previous videos, things that will align to basically tell you when we have hit the peak. So if you haven't seen that, it's worth watching, just because you need to know when that peak is going to be. And that's what kind of happening right now. People think, oh, we peaked, and everyone's just kind of selling. But where does Jasmy kind of go from here, really? As you know from my previous video on Jasmy, I'm still not convinced on what it's doing. Maybe it's doing a lot behind the scenes with the government. I did find one article where they were partnering with the government for some public related stuff, but I imagine if they are actually partnering with the government on a lot of things, which could actually well be happening. Japan is trying to push itself into the Web3 space, make itself much more Web3 friendly, so there is a possibility that a lot of these projects are under an NDA, but I don't think this is going to be what drives the Jasmy price. So Japan is taking a much more positive view on crypto, and again in another video I discussed how they're basically taking away capital gains for companies holding cryptocurrencies that haven't made a profit but they haven't sold yet. Imagine the government was taking profit from your crypto when you haven't even sold yet. That would be shit. I mean, really, if you think about it, imagine you're up say 100,000 and you haven't sold yet, and the government just takes his nice 30% cut, and then the market just absolutely tanks. You've now just paid tax on it, but you're not going to get that back, and you haven't even sold yet. So that's part of what the government's doing to make it much more friendly for crypto, and I believe that has been what has driven the massive growth in Jasmy so far. But a lot of this actually hasn't come into law yet, and there's another thing that the government is actually bringing in. So the venture capital sector nears approval for crypto asset holding. And essentially that would just allow VC companies to invest in crypto projects that they believe are going to do well. So essentially at the moment they cannot do that. And these are the guys that we call the whales in Japan. They're currently not allowed to hold crypto projects or invest in crypto projects just because the Japan government was kind of skeptical of it. But now they're all aboard and they're going to allow these VCs who have lots of money to do that. And what have we seen before when we allow big money to come into crypto, such as the ETF, and we seen the Bitcoin price absolutely skyrocket. So obviously the ETF was approved around here and everyone just kind of sold on the news, right? Everyone was like, oh wow, I thought it was going to go up a lot. And that's just kind of an insight of what's going to happen to Jasmy. Because if you think about it, it took what? We took a dip of say 10%, and then over the next 2 months we nearly doubled the price. But that's not quickly, and obviously a lot of you in crypto are just getting a bit of FOMO if another project skyrockets. You're getting a little bit antsy if things start looking a bit rough like this. You're like, maybe the bull market's ended, why isn't it skyrocketing? So you need to have an outlook of at least a few months on this at minimum. If Japan actually passes this law, which it looks like they're going to do, I believe that we're going to see a rally on Jasmy maybe 2 to 3 months later, perhaps a little bit longer, to pretty much what we will see is an all new time high, as well as a new price discovery for Jasmy. And this is just pretty much a buying opportunity as we're seeing the crypto market pull back. And it's difficult in the face of things pulling back, but you need to just stay in your conviction. If you do truly believe that this bull market's going to keep running and all the signs are there, it's pretty obvious, then you need to keep going. Obviously not financial advice, but if you're looking at getting out now, you're potentially going to miss out on a lot of opportunity in the future. And Jasmy still has a long way to go. Relative to other coins, it still has a pretty small market cap. I don't think we're going to see that $1 mark in this run. Obviously, it's a long way to go. I do think that perhaps we could probably see a 0.1. It just depends how much of these inflows that Japan sees. So it's worth looking at data like you can see like the inflows for the ETF, which were just rapidly increasing. If you can see some data on that around Japanese companies, that would be a big sign that VC money intends to get into Jasmy. I'm still not sure on the applications yet, but I think a lot is probably happening behind the scenes. If you guys have any articles, comment them down below. I would love to see more about what Jasmy is actually doing, but I think it's positioned well to be a key investment from VCs in Japan, as positioned as Japan's Bitcoin. And if you think about that, a lot of Japanese people like to invest in things that are their own. And Jasmy is a Japanese project, and essentially it's well poised to take in that investment. And in terms of buying opportunities right now, we can see that Jasmy has fallen below the head and shoulders pattern. So I would expect it to fall down to around this zone here. Anywhere around 0.015 to 0.016 is a good buying opportunity for Jasmy. I don't think we're going to see anything much lower than that. I don't know if this is going to be a real big pullback. I feel like it's lost a bit of momentum already, but this sort of zone would be a great buy zone to load up some more Jasmy. But nonetheless, in this crypto market, we have disconnected from where a project actually is. I'm also just buying things that have a good narrative, and Jasmy is one of those. It has a very good use case in theory, so I feel like Jasmy is going to do very well. From the crypto pump, the Japanese regulations changing, as well as just being positioned well as a coin, it has a lot of opportunity to do well. So if you guys are still holding through this a little downturn, I think it's just a blip in the market. Once we see this huge rally next, it's going to look like nothing. But anyway guys, if you liked the video, like and subscribe. I really appreciate it.